Hey, I'm your host, Jen Wheeler, and this is the Healthy Her podcast. I'm a teacher, author, and foodie who went from being addicted to sugar, skipping meals, and struggling to get in control of my eating, to someone who is 10 kilos down, eats all the yummy foods without restriction, and is finally in control of my hunger. I'm obsessed with helping other health-conscious women ditch the confusion and overwhelm so they can cultivate healthy eating habits and truly thrive. The Healthy Her podcast was created to give you real talk about healthy eating, as well as easy, actionable tips that fit seamlessly into your busy lifestyle. I'm not just your host. Think of me as your healthy eating hype gal, your personal cheerleader as we chat all things healthy eating, weight loss, and mindset mastery, so you can become the healthiest, happiest version of you. So if you're ready to ditch the guilt, reclaim your confidence, and unlock the very best version of you, then you're in the right place. So let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Healthy Her podcast. Today is a very exciting day because the Healthy Her podcast has officially turned 1. That's right. The potty has been alive and well for 12 months. So it's just crazy to think that this time last year, I was sitting nervously behind my laptop, uploading the trailer for the podcast, the little intro about what the podcast is about. And now we have 50 something plus episodes and thousands of listeners around the world, which literally just blows my mind. So first of all, I just want to say thank you, like a massive, massive thank you to the Healthy Her community. I adore all of you, and I'm so grateful for every time that you tune in, that you listen, for all of the ratings and the reviews. It means more than you know. So thank you so much. And I thought for today's episode, we do a bit of a fun one, and I would talk about my podcasting journey because I know that, I know a lot of you have goals and aspirations and things in your life that you want to do. And so I thought I'd share with you my podcasting journey, like how the Healthy Her podcast was started, why it was started, all of those kind of things, in the hope that maybe it might inspire you to go after your goals and your dreams. And I'm also going to talk to you about, because I find that there's actually been a lot of similarities between a weight loss journey and starting a podcast, believe it or not. So I'm definitely going to delve into that at the end of the episode. Now, going back to the beginning. So 12 months of the podcast, like recording a episode every single week and brand new episode every single Tuesday. So it started for me because I always knew that I wanted to start a podcast. And the reason for that was, the first thing that started was because I would get messages. So people would find me on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, and then I'd get a message and it would say, "Hey Jen, where can I listen to your podcast?" If I had $1 for every time that I had gotten a message about where they can listen to my podcast, I would be very rich right now. And I always used to have to just embarrassingly reply with, "Yeah, I'd love to start one, but sorry, I haven't done it yet. Like, hopefully soon." And so that went on for quite a while. And, it also came down to the fact that the conversations that I was having with women, like over and over again, was that women were not being taught about healthy eating and weight loss in a way that actually makes sense to them. So, women are being told, okay, we'll eat more protein, like grow some muscle and, like work out in the gym. And no one actually sat me down and was telling women that, well, hang on a second. Do you know what? If you eat enough protein throughout the day, you'll feel fuller. You will stop mindlessly snacking all the time. It will help with your binge eating. It will help with you overeating after dinner. And these are the conversations that I've found that no one was having on my own weight loss journey. I had all these aha moments over and over again where I'd had this realization about something that might be the protein example. And I was like, why is no one telling women this? Why is this not in the conversation? Why are we not talking about these things? We're always talking about challenges and shreds and quick fixes and lose 5 kilos in 5 days. But women need to understand how they eat and why they eat the way that they are. When I started to discover this stuff, it was like just this magic box opened and I was like, oh, wow, okay, I get it. Like, I'm not overeating a packet of Tim Tams, a block of chocolate, and a half a packet of chips after dinner every night because I'm weak or I'm a failure or I have no motivation or like I can't stick to things. It's because I'm actually hungry and I'm not eating enough protein throughout my day. It's like this light bulb moment. And that was one of the main drivers behind wanting to start this podcast and wanting to have these conversations with you. Because once you understand it, and that's the thing, like I know we spend so much time beating ourselves up as women, like what's wrong with us? We're broken, like I can't do this. I don't have enough motivation. Why is she succeeding at weight loss and I'm not? And it's none of those things. It's just that you don't understand what's actually happening and why you're eating the way that you do. And when you get someone to explain that to you in a way that makes sense to you, everything starts to pop off in your brain. It's like, oh, right. I get it now why I'm doing that. I get why I'm doing that. Oh my goodness. If I'd only had done this, then that would stop happening. And so that is why I had to start the Healthy Her podcast, because I just wanted a space that women could come to and get some real practical advice. And because I know when it comes to weight loss and healthy eating and food and all of those kind of things that we don't feel that smart. We don't. I remember myself, I felt so dumb. I felt dumb that I just could not make this damn thing work. And I want this podcast to resonate with women so that they can feel smart. Because for me, once I started learning all this stuff, I sat back and I went, you know what? I'm actually a really smart, intelligent woman. And it's just that no one was teaching me this stuff in a way that I could understand. And that's all it came down to. It's not that I could do it. It's not that I can't do it. It's just no one was explaining it to me in a way that actually made sense. So it's always my goal with the podcast. So I hope that every week that you tune in, you get some little gems, some little gold mines, some little pieces of information that you can take away and really easily apply into your own life. So just before I jump into my podcast journey, I just want to remind you too that it's not your fault that you don't understand weight loss. It's not your fault. I promise you, it is not your fault. So that's your permission slip to let go of the guilt and all of the guilt that you've carried for all of these years about why you can't lose weight, why you can't work out regularly, why you can't eat healthy consistently. It is not your fault. It's just that you haven't been taught properly. That's all it is. That's it. If I look back, even my experience at school about healthy eating, and I'm sure like a lot of you probably remember, you'd have to do a plate with the little portions on it to show the different foods. So you'd have some protein and some vegetables and some carbohydrates and things. And that's pretty much my education, like going through primary school and into high school about food and like what's a healthy food and what's a not healthy food, those kind of like we had to paste the pictures and those kind of things. That's kind of it. So it's no wonder that as grown women that we don't actually understand food and how to eat properly, how to balance our plate, how to navigate all of this stuff with a busy lifestyle. So please take that as your permission slip to let the guilt go. It is not your fault. It's just that you haven't been taught. And that's one of the main goals of the Healthy Her podcast, is to give you your freedom back and to start making you feel confident and empowered and really smart and intelligent, which is truly what you are, and that you can absolutely do this. Okay, so I talked about podcasts and I always knew I wanted to have a podcast and people were messaging me and things. But what happened for me is I started looking into podcasting, like, what's involved, what are the costs, like editing and all of the things that you have to do regularly on a regular basis. And as we do with most new projects that we start, same with whether it's a weight loss journey, I was really overwhelmed and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, this is a lot. Like, there's a lot of like pieces that kind of have to fit together and go together each week in order for me to get an episode out and up on the platforms on Apple and Spotify. And yeah, I don't think I can do this. And so I sat with that for quite a few months and, still sort of came up the same things, did some more research, looked at a few different things, and it still was going to take a lot. And then I went down the route of looking at companies that would sort of manage everything for you, so you'd pay them like a really large amount of money each month and they would manage your podcast for you. So they would do the edits, they do your videos, they'd make your reels, they do all of the stuff that you needed in order to upload your podcast, all of those pieces that have to happen in order for you to get an episode up each week. And I looked at that and like it was a significant amount of money. Like I'm talking thousands of dollars every single month. And well too, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this, the perfectionist came out in me and I was like, yeah, I can't do this myself. I have to do it this way. I have to go with these agencies and these people that can do it for me because they're the professionals and they know how to do it. And who am I to do this? I'm not good enough. All of those like imposter syndrome and the self-doubt and stuff starts creeping up. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just wait. I'll wait until I've got some more money and then I'll start my podcast, and like I'll have more money then, and then I'll be able to do it, and then I can just pay someone and then they can help me and it will be perfect and everything will be right. And then I waited and I waited, and like more months went by, like 6 months, then it was like 10 months, 12 months, and I still hadn't started this podcast that I really, really knew that I wanted to do. And funny enough, I went to the International Women's Day event and I met an incredible human there. Her name was Laura. Laura, if you're listening to the podcast, massive thank you to you for my aha moment that you gave me at International Women's Day. And I was just chatting with her and stuff. And she's a business coach and she was telling me how she has her own podcast. And I was telling her, yeah, I really want to do it. And I feel like it's my purpose and it's my calling. And I feel like I've got some important messages to share with women and I need to do this thing. And I said, but I just can't afford the agency fees and stuff like that to have someone do it for me every single month. And she's like, well, I just started my own and like we launched in like the top podcasts. And I went, what? Sorry, really? And she's like, yeah, it's really easy. Like, I know it's a bit overwhelming, but once you get all the parts, you don't need to pay those expensive agencies. Like, they're really expensive and it's not worth it. And you can just do all of it yourself. And I don't know what happened to me that day, but it sparked something in me. A little something went off in my brain that I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. And I literally left International Women's Day that day going, I'm going to start my podcast tomorrow. And that's the kick in the butt that I needed to just go, I don't need to wait for someone else to do this for me. I can do this myself and it's going to be amazing. So I went away, as I do, I run to Kmart and buy a cute notebook and some stationery because I don't know about you guys, but it's a big thing for me. Like if I've got a cute notebook and a cute pen, like a new coffee mug, I'm like set. I'm ready to smash some goals. I'm ready to make some plans. And it just really helps me to sort of focus on what I'm doing.
If you are curious about this membership, about Jen's meal plans, about all that she's talking about, you've got to join her membership. It is money well spent. I can't imagine how much longer I would have gone on searching for answers that Jen showed me were right inside of myself. Life-changing.
So got my cute notebooks, got my plans and everything, and obviously, started thinking about names and all the things that I needed to do. And again, overwhelm kicked in. I'm like, there's so much to do. Like, what do how do I do this? What do I start with? Do I buy a microphone? Like, how do I upload an episode of a podcast? Like, how do I do this? Cords and plugs and all of these things that I just had no idea about. And then I decided to connect with a fellow podcast, Madeline Paratha from the Healthy Hustlers. And she's like, Jen, I can support you to do this. So I ended up doing a podcasting course with her and connected with heaps of other incredible, amazing women that were also starting their podcast at the same time. And basically I did step by step by step. So every single day I had in my cute little Kmart notebook, of course, I had something written down that I had to work on for my podcast. So it might have been, today was to research microphones. Like to find out which is the best one, what's not good to get, what you need, all of that kind of stuff. So that literally might have been my one task for that day when it comes to starting the podcast. And then I would tick that off. And then the next day I had another goal. So another goal on my to-do list might have been researching like podcast platforms because, again, I never knew anything about this, but there are actually different hosting platforms. So you don't actually upload your episodes directly to Spotify and Apple. You have a platform that then distributes them out for you, which I knew nothing about. So that was my next goal. And literally, it's something that's always served me for these last few years is breaking stuff down into steps. It's worked with my weight loss journey. It's worked with starting the membership. It's worked with starting the podcast, because what happens is our brains just get so overwhelmed and just consumed by some of these massive tasks that we have to do. Like, you think about it, like there's so many things that you just don't do. You just put off because it's so overwhelming and confusing. Weight loss would be one of them, that you just start nothing at all. And I was so determined to start this podcast and get it off the ground. And I don't want to sit here and say, oh, it was this easy breezy thing. And it was hard. And I'm not going to lie, like in the setup stages, there were tears because I'd feel like I'd done something and I'd mastered something, I'd got my microphone or whatever, and then there was an issue with the cord. So I got everything plugged in and I had my mic, and you have like an arm that the microphone and stuff sits on. And then like the sound was terrible. And so like I'm Googling and I'm like emailing the people and I'm trying to find out, what's wrong with the mic, back and forth with the company and different things. And like, oh, I think it's just a cord issue. Like we'll have to send you another cord and that's going to take like 6 weeks. Like it was all of these little things like that people don't see behind the scenes. And that's what I always want to remind you of. And that's why I always want to have these conversations with you is when you're on social media, you just see people's highlight reels. You just go, oh, wow, that's really cool. She started a podcast. She must have just blinked and opened her eyes and ta-da, the podcast was there. Not at all. There was tears, there was upset, there was mistakes, there was things I did wrong. Like I put podcast episode live when it wasn't supposed to be live. Like, there's so many mistakes that I made along the way, but they're all fixable and you kind of just learn and you improve as you go. And I feel like now I'm in a really good rhythm with my podcast planning and my setup and everything that I know exactly how to schedule it into my week, how to plan my episodes, how to record my episodes, how to upload my episodes. And so now, again, back to weight loss, when you do the thing often enough, that's where your flow and your momentum and your ease comes from. The ease and the flow and the momentum that you want doesn't come from you doing things once in a while. It comes from repetition. Repetition creates momentum, which creates flow. And it's something that's not talked about enough. Everyone talks about this word consistency. It's like, oh, well, you've shown up consistently, so that's why you've got results. But consistency actually means repetition. And that's what it is. It doesn't mean perfect because a lot of people associate consistency with perfection, and it's not. Consistency is showing up repeatedly and doing the thing repetitively, whether that's at 20%, whether that's at 100%, whether that's at 50%, it's you still doing that thing on repeat at whatever percentage you have on that day, okay? Because people often get that consistency and the repetition confused, but it's actually the same thing. So if you are consistent, it means you are repeatedly doing the thing. And like I said, with weight loss, with podcasting, it's the same thing. Like podcasting feels like an easy thing for me to do now because I know how to do it. And I don't know about anyone else, but I'm definitely someone that has always been a bit scared of the tech side of stuff. If something involves a lot of tech, my brain just goes, yeah, no, we're not doing this now. No, thank you. Not happening. And I tend to back away from all that kind of stuff. But that's what the really cool thing is, that these women, like from International Women's Day and like, the podcast support and everything, is that these women reminded me that everything is achievable and that everything is doable. And it's just, it's just a small task. Just do one small task at a time, tick that off, and then move to the next thing. And honestly, like now that I think I said like over 50 episodes, that are now recorded for the Healthy Her podcast. And I can honestly tell you, hand on heart, recording the podcast for you is one of my favorite things to do in my week. Like I absolutely love being able to jump on this microphone and talk to you like woman to woman and just have these real talks and these real chats so that you can finally just start experiencing success with healthy eating and weight loss and just getting out of your own head and realizing how truly capable and smart you actually are of achieving your goals. I would definitely recommend the cute notebook from Kmart technique to reach your goals. It definitely helps. And it will work the same with weight loss. Just get a notebook and write down one thing that you're going to do. Might just be track my steps today and work out how much I'm moving. That can be your one thing for your day. And then the next day, write another thing that you're going to work on. All you need is small steps forward. That's a big thing that we get so wrong as women. We think it's, to succeed, it has to be these massive things and these huge challenges and all these big efforts. It's not. The magic is found in the small things that you do every single day. And I always want you to remember that. Crazy things for me now is that when I first launched the podcast, we launched straight into the top health and fitness charts on Apple and Spotify, which is one of the most saturated areas that there is. So that was huge. And that was even before I had dropped an episode. That was literally just explaining in the trailer what the podcast was about. So that was a massive aha moment for me that women need this stuff. Like women are really crying out for some real practical support to help them navigate this stuff with their hectic lifestyles as well. And now the podcast, because I'll explain this to you so that you know. Remember I told you there's a podcast hosting platform. So on the podcast hosting platform, they collect all of your podcast data. So on there's like a little map of the world, and it actually shows you around the world where your listeners are coming from. And it just blows my mind that there are women all over the world, like in places that some of them I've never even heard of, are listening to the podcast, and that every month we have thousands and thousands of downloads. And like, I'm just so grateful for all of your support. And I just love being able to have these conversations with you, because I know from my own experience that no one was having these conversations with me. No one was talking about these things. And so I really want to open this up and start having these conversations in this weight loss and healthy eating space, so that you can start to find food freedom. So you can stop thinking about food all the time. So you can stop thinking that you're a failure. So you can wear clothes that you love and that you feel good in, and so that you can wake up every day feeling confident and empowered and just looking and feeling good in your skin. I hope too from today's episode that it acts as a little reminder that you can literally go after anything that you want, but you just have to be brave enough to go for it. And that was the instance in my case with starting the podcast. You just have to push the fear aside and just go for it. Fear is the number one thing that holds us back from achieving our goals, whether it's weight loss, whether it's health, whether it's personal goals, whether it's work, it's business, like writing a book, whatever your thing is that you want to do, it's fear that is stopping you from going after your goals. So you can do anything that you want. You can change your mind at any time. You can do something new. You just have to push the fear aside and for it. Thank you so much for listening to our 1-year anniversary episode of the Healthy Her podcast. If you love the potty, help me celebrate by leaving a 5-star review, leaving some stars. It means the world to me, but I will see you all in our next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the Healthy Her podcast. If you enjoyed today's chat and found it helpful, hitting that follow or subscribe button would be amazing, because your support means the world to me. Come connect with me on Instagram @TheActiveBod for your daily dose of inspiration and for loads of new easy meal ideas. Take care and keep thriving. See you next week.